another game for you for 50 years of chess, and this was a league game that was played against a player I played. Must be about 6 or 7 times. I think I won 4, he won 2, and we drew 1, if I recall. Jody is a good player. He was very similar style to my own, which is tactical, looking for tactics to win games. And he was always dangerous to play against because he's always trying to find something. Great imagination, very creative, and I've been told that about myself, so I presume we were very similar in styles and how we played. So we always had very strong games. I think I've put on 2 games previous to this against him, and he managed to win. This picture was taken from 2010 when he won the major, Bristol Major up at Patchway. He defeated me in that match, in that tournament. That was one of his 2 wins, and stopped me from having any chance of winning. But he won very well, and he was deserved winner. He played so strongly, very strongly. His rating, usually it was always around 150, something like that, or in the old way, which would have been about nearly 1800. But he started having a good time around about 2014-15, and this game was played in September, 30th of September 2015. And so in 2015, that was his peak year. He was absolutely brilliant that year. Won lots and lots of games, didn't lose many. So I was up against a very informed Jody Johnson in this league game. I was playing for a club called Keynsham at that time, which was near to where I lived. I'd just left South Bristol and went to Keynsham to play. I had quite a decent season. So I'm going to show you the game. As you can see, Jody's a lot younger than me. I'd say this was taken in 2010. He's probably mid-30s there. So he'd probably be maybe 45, 48 now, something like that. So, and I'm 72, so you can see I'm a lot older than him. But it's an interesting game. So Jody's white, and this is how it went. He began with e4, he usually did, and I played c5 Sicilian, d4, which is not unusual, c takes d, c3. Now this is the Smith-Morra gambit. If you take the pawn, you can take it, but or you can push it on the d3, and then when the bishop takes and you play your next move, then white has a bishop on a square that's not the best. So he loses a bit of a tempo sorting that out where he's going to put it. Now, I decided not to do either. I played d6, which is what I like to play. So I can get my bishop out. Bishop c4, knight f6. This is another reason I played d6, so the pawn won't drive my knight away. Knight f3, queen c7, I'm attacking the bishop, and he defends it with the queen b3, and also threatening to go bishop takes f7 check. So that's dangerous. So I played e6. Safe enough move. He castled. Now I could play knight takes pawn, but I don't like doing things like that early in the game because he's way ahead of me if I take that pawn. With knight takes pawn, rook e1, I can then play d5, I know, but I just don't like it. So I decided to play knight c6. So he played d4, knight a4, and he got queen a4 check, which stops me winning the bishop. So I played bishop d7. He's now played bishop b5. And here I attacked the bishop straight away and made him swap off bishop takes bishop check, and I retook with my knight. And now he's brought his bishop out to d2. Good move, because he can play rook c1 afterwards, attacking my queen. Now I could go back knight c6, but then he's got pawn on, making me move my knight again. So I decided to go into c4 and weather the storm when he tries to pin my knight to my queen. So he played rook c1. I played b5, defending it and attacking his queen. He went back to d1. He's always ready to sacrifice a piece if he thinks it's going to get him something. He won't hesitate to do it. He's a dangerous player. I guess I am too if we play the same. So I played queen b7. Get out of the pin. And he played bishop g5. Bit of an unusual move. But on the other hand, it's quite clever because he knows that I've got to get my bishop out. And he would be able to stop me castling. But I'm not worried about that because I just want a pawn now on b2. So he came out to b3, went back to a4, not c4 because the rook takes knight, pawn takes rook, and queen takes queen on b7. So I went back knight to a4, where it won't work. So he went knight to knight b1 to d2. And now I brought the knight back to b6 so I can reorganize my pieces, and he pushed on a4. So again, if I went knight takes pawn, he's got rook takes knight, pawn takes rook, and queen takes queen. So we're back to that again. So I have to make a decision on what to do. This is probably the only time I took a little bit more time than normal. We were both playing quite quick because we like to play quickly, both of us. So I went pawn takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. He knows I can't take it. So then I played bishop e7. I decided I can give up, forfeit castling, and I can have my rooks. So he came in with knight to c4 instead of bishop takes bishop. Again, pinning my knight, but I'm as well protected. So I played rook c8 to challenge him. So should he play knight takes knight, I've got rook takes rook, check, and he'd have to go bishop takes rook. So bishop takes, king takes. Now, this is interesting. If he moves that knight at all, I'll get a back rank mate. So he's pushed his d pawn on, attacking my e6 pawn, and I've moved my rook up to c5. I did this because I don't. I want to be able to have a square to put my queen on should he go knight into a5, but he can't at the moment because the rook takes rook. And it also gives me the opportunity to double up my rooks with rook on h2 c8. So he played knight into d4. I was expecting pawn takes pawn, but this is okay. It's change, and I'll win a piece. So let's see what happens. He did exactly that. Check me. Rook takes, knight, pawn takes, queen, and I'm also attacking his rook with my knight on a4. So I'm going to get something out of this. He should play rook b4, but then after a5, it's a bit difficult for him. He would have to give it the exchange anyway. So he'd no doubt have to play rook takes knight, then knight takes rook, and the pin is on, and I've won a pin. Yeah, I'm going to win I'm going to have a good position after this. He's gone rook takes pawn. Now rook takes rook, queen takes rook. I've got queen, 2 knights against queen and rook. Plus I've got 5 pawns against 4. So I'm doing really well in this game. And knowing him the way I do, I know exactly the way he plays. This is why he finds it hard to play against me. I do know that he's sneaky when he wants to be. He plays a lot of sneaky moves, but he's also a fine chess player. Now, he could play queen takes queen, knight takes queen, take his chance with a rook against 2 knights, but it wouldn't be easy with it being a pawn down as well. That means I would be on an average of 2 pawns up, because the 2 knights are worth 3 each, plus the extra pawn as 7. So, and his rook's worth 5, so I'd be plus 2 on pawns. So Queen A3. He's covering that C1 square, so I can't checkmate him. So I took the pawn on E4. That makes me 2 pawns up now. And he can't get in on the back rank, so I got knight and queen covering the A8 square. So what did he do? He went back to C1, first of all, to make sure there's no check on the back rank. Went queen C4, offering a queen swap. And obviously he always likes to attack, so he's going to go queen into G5 first, hoping that'll play F6, and then he can go queen takes G7 check, which is very good for him. So I played king back. Played the king back, and now if he wants to take that pawn, he'll be checkmated on the back rank, and he can't, and he knows it. So he had to bring his rook back, and that allowed me again to tap the rook and cover the pawn on G7. So he's brought his rook across, nice move, rook to C1, attacking the queen. But even when I move the queen, he still can't check me on the back rank because the knight takes. My knights are very nicely positioned. So I went back to offer the queen swap, because I know if I get the queens off, I'll win this. I'm equivalent of a piece up with 3 points. As I said, 1 extra point for the 2 knights against the rook, and 2 extra points. So he's gone queen E3. Again, I'm offering a queen swap. Queen to E5. He's gone queen to H3, attacking the H pawn, which I moved to H6. And now he's gone queen to A3. So I may move my king up off the back rank now, which is the best thing, I think. King E7. He played H3, so that stops the back rank mate. And then I've blocked off his rook from going down that open file with knight C5. He doesn't want to swap that off. So he's brought the queen down with a check to A7. Doesn't really get him anywhere, but he is looking for ways to try and find a check. So I blocked that off with my other knight because it was hanging. So knight into D7, everything's covered. I'm doing fine. And then he came back to A5, covering my knight so that if possible, he might be able to do something in a minute. So I went queen F4, hitting the rook, and he played queen back, protecting it, A3. Now I tapped the rook with my knight. No worries about him playing queen takes knight, because I've got queen takes C1 check, and that's bad news for him if that happens. So he won't be playing that, but he's also got to cover that F pawn on F2, which I'd been planning on. So he played his rook across to F1, and now I'm very happy because that means he's only got 1 piece that is active out on the board. His other piece, his rook, is just totally defending that situation there for now. So now I've come in knight E5 and from D7. So he's knowing Jody, he just check me and find other ways to check me and keep on trying to check me and hope that something comes up, which is often the case. Queen A7, King G6. Queen B6 obviously is going to go into D8 check. So do I go King to G6? Probably that's the safest bet, but it can always then come out to Queen. No, I've got a pawn hanging on D6, so I'm going to play G5. Now he can win this pawn d6, but his only problem is I've got knight on e5 to f3 check, and his queen's gone after he takes a knight, so he can't do it, and he noticed it. As you see, I spring traps. Queen d8 check, king to g6, queen to g8, and king to h5. Now I should be fine here. I don't see as he can do anything. I'm covering that pawn. Obviously if I want, it'd be a different story, but I've got knight and queen both covering it. The only thing I haven't got covered is the h6 square. If he should play g4, I've got to come forward, and then that would be hanging. So he played g3, not g4, and I went back to f6, best place. It covers that pawn, and it also means I can drop a knight in with a check onto f3 at some point. So now he checked me, and I moved my king down board one more square to h4, which means he has h3 hanging, which he, I guess, would seem no point trying to protect it with a king, because I got checks on f4, and I also got check on f3. So he played the queen across to a8 to try and bring his queen back, maybe to g2. Should I take the pawn? And then when I take the pawn, he checks me on g2. I have to go back to g4, h4, and then he can play another check on g3, and I understand that's mate. Let me just check again. If I take that h3 pawn, it's got queen g2 check, king h4, king g3 check, and that's my lot. I decided that I would come in with my queen, and this is fatal for him because it stops him doing a sneaky little checkmate on the back with the queen, and he could go back to h8, but there's no time for that. Time was short as well on this game, if I remember rightly. He was having to play fast. So queen takes queen, knight takes queen, king g2, and here I played knight to e1. That totally blocks his rook in. He's going nowhere. He's only got one square to move on. King back to h1. Now I could take that pawn, and he's only got one move, which is rook takes knight. Can't move anything else, and I'll be a whole knight up. But his king would escape. I think, yeah, he would escape with king to g1. But what I did was decided that I'll just play the pawn on, threatening to queen, which means he's still got to take the rook. He can't move, so he would have to take it now anyway. And at this point, Jody resigned. It was a really interesting game. It was very cut and thrust, lots of action. It's like end-to-end stuff at a football match. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this game, and I'll get you another game when I can. Thank you. Bye.